Hello dear students. Today I am here to talk about the status and scope of apiculture. Rearing of honeybees is also known as beekeeping or apiculture. The relationship between humans and honeybees evolved over time from hunting and killing to an organized industry in which bees were raised to produce honey and other valuable industrial, medicinal and nutritional products. This relationship changed as human societies evolved and advanced. The honey industry includes honeybees, flowering plants that feed the bees, and beekeepers, which control the bee populations in accordance with vegetation and climate for personal gain. Originally, bees were raised by humans to harvest honey. The production and harvesting of all hive products as well as the use of honeybees in pollination and the production of agricultural and horticultural crops are all part of the modern honey industry. This is because other hive products have also been harvested as knowledge about them has grown. Honey, beeswax, pollen gathered by bees, royal jelly, bee venom, and propolis are some of the goods produced in hives. In addition to honey and beeswax, modern countries in Asia, Africa, America, and Australia have well-developed apiculture industries that produce a wide range of bee products, including propolis, royal jelly, nutritional, therapeutic, and pharmaceutical preparations made from pollen collected from bees as well as other beekeeping products. It appears that beekeeping was recognized and popular in ancient India. There is not much tangible proof of beekeeping before or throughout the Middle Ages, but at least in the Western Ghats and the rich forest areas of the sub-Himalayan mountain ranges, the industry has recently seen a resurgence. Beekeeping in the most basic form has been done. Bee swarms were drawn to nets on the exterior walls of homes, receptacles made of clay or logs of wood. Honey was extracted from the combs at the conclusion of the flowering seasons by using smoke to scare off the bees. In the procedure, there was no attempt to keep bees from departing the hive. Compared to other agro-based subsidiary jobs, beekeeping requires more artistic and skilled labor and requires less time and physical labor than many other agro-based professions. It fits in extremely well with small-scale farming systems and offers economically disadvantaged populations viable livelihood alternatives. As a commercial venture, beekeeping has enormous potential and room for diversification, meaning that in addition to honey, it can produce and market additional bee products such as pollen, propolis, royal jelly, bee wax, and bee venom. Additionally, a huge scope is provided by the scale of bee packages and the raising and selling of pedigree queen bees. In addition, honeybees can be kept under control when needed for pollinating horticulture and field crops, as well as for producing hybrid seeds for vegetables and other crops pollinated by bees. Therefore, renting out bee colonies to facilitate pollination might serve as an additional revenue stream for beekeepers. The tools used in beekeeping have evolved over the years, along with the craft itself. The practice of beekeeping in India underwent a significant transformation when the beekeepers on the subcontinent adopted movable frames. This was made possible by the fact that movable frames are user-friendly and that modern equipment for commercial handlers makes beekeeping easier. Previously, beekeepers in India kept their stingless bees in clay pots, wooden logs, and baskets. A beehive is a location where a single honeybee colony lives and does several tasks for their existence. It's made up of several components, including an inner and outer cover, a bottom board, a brood chamber, a super chamber, and a hive stand. The hive stand is constructed comprising of an iron or wooden pole that is fastened to the ground. It can have 4 legs made of iron or PVC, polyvinyl chloride, or it can have a single leg made of iron. The bottom board is detachable from the hive stand and rests on the stand. The brood chamber located above the bottom board is made up of brood frames. These wooden frames are arranged vertically and parallel to one another, providing a home for honeybees as they raise their larvae in the combs made within the frames. They also contain honey and pollen for the bees' daily consumption. Typically, a brood box holds a single queen bee. The queen deposits her eggs, one with each comb cell. The eggs develop into larvae, which then grow into adult bees. The apiculturist installs a super chamber atop the brood chamber once it's densely occupied with bees. Similar to the brood chamber, the super chamber is similarly made up of parallel and vertical placed frames. It is the area of importance because bees store honey there. To stop the queen from entering the super chamber, a queen excluder is positioned between the brood and super chambers. The purpose of the honey and pollen kept in the brood chamber is solely for the developing larvae. The beekeeper is not allowed to remove them. 3/4 of the brood chamber's height is the standard height of the super chamber. Because the bees will be gathering more nectar throughout the honey flow season, there will be more super chambers. India uses a variety of hive types, including the Langstroth hive, the BIS, Bureau of Indian Standards hive, the Newton hive, and the martyrdom hive. There are 3 developmental phases for honeybees: the egg, larval, and pupa, as well as the adult stage. 3 classes exist at the adult stage: the lone queen, the hundreds of drones, and the thousands of workers. Due to the haploid sex determination mechanism present in honeybees, the worker is an unfertilized female capable of generating only males. The drone is male and the queen is a fertile, functioning female capable of creating both males and females. All other bees in the colony are descended from the queen bee. Its tiny wings and long abdomen help to identify it. The queen's job is to deposit eggs. The colony is sustained by the queen's pheromones. The quality of food the workers bring in and the amount of space available for brooding inside the colony determine how productive she is. In a single day, she can lay over 1,500 eggs. The queen comes out of the queen cell, which is at the base of the comb. The virgin queen usually spends a few days in the colony to feed, gain strength, and allow her reproductive organs to develop fully. The queen will depart the colony after 6 to 8 days to embark on her nuptial flight, which takes place 30 meters above the ground, where she will mate with numerous powerful drones. After mating, the queen goes back to the colony to lay the eggs. The average lifespan of a queen is approximately 5 years. However, she can only lay eggs for 2 years at a time. A colony has thousands of workers who carry out all tasks within the colony, such as cleaning, guarding, foraging, and rearing young. Compared to the drones and queen, they are smaller. In Apis florea colony, there are roughly 40,000 to 50,000 workers or 8,000 to 25,000 workers. Worker bees use their modified ovipositor sting to defend their colonies, and when they sting, they release venom. Drones are easily recognized by their black color and the way their eyes meet atop their heads. Their sole purpose is to eat the food inside the hive and fertilize the queen. They have no stingers and thus they don't sting. There are hundreds of drones in a colony, and the drone cells are different from that of worker cells in that they have larger cappings. Commercial beekeepers in India decap these drone cells because the drones use the honey that has been stored in them. Now we are going to talk about the types of the bees known for honey production. Currently, honey production is known to occur in 5 different bee species: Apis mellifera, Apis cerana, Apis dorsata, Apis laboriosa, and Apis florae. Apis cerana and Apis dorsata, Apis laboriosa, and Apis florae are restricted to Asian nations, whereas Apis mellifera and its races are found practically everywhere in temperate, tropical and subtropical environments, with the exception of the poles. So talking about the Apis dorsata, which is also known as wild bee or rock bee. Asia is where this bee has been originated. They are fierce and the biggest of all the honeybees. An average Apis dorsata colony can produce between 30 and 40 kg of honey. The majority of bee hunters use conventional techniques to harvest honey from these colonies. Talking about Apis cerana, the bee species originated in Asia. Currently, 12 subspecies have been scientifically identified. This species' single colony is easily domesticated, has many combs and is less migratory. When there is improper area management, disappearances occur frequently. The average annual honey yield of one colony will be 8 to 10 kilograms. Talking about Apis florae, this bee species is also originally from Asia. It's commonly called a little bee and is in the smallest size among honeybees. 500 grams of honey may be produced from a healthy colony. Talking about Apis mellifera, originating in Europe and Africa, this bee has been domesticated nearly everywhere in the world. This is the main bee species that produces honey worldwide. It exhibits less of a swarming and absconding tendency. It's feasible to extract more than 50 kg of honey from a single productive colony by using proper management practices. So talking about the honey production status of India. India is among the nations that export honey. India's top honey markets include the United States, Canada, Japan, France, Italy, and Spain. There are 159.7 million hectares of arable land in India, along with crops that are used by bees as food. There is a chance that the nation may support 200 million bee colonies because of these two criteria. Due to ongoing efforts through various programs, including the National Beekeeping and Honey Mission (NBHM), a consistent increase in the honey production has been noticed over the past 10 years. Over the past 10 years, there has been a 200% growth in honey output. India's honey production has been steadily increasing. According to the data from the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers' Welfare and the National Bee Board (NBB), the production of honey increased by 57.58%, which amounts to 76,150 metric tons to 1,20,000 metric tons in 2013 to 2014. In India, the rate of honey export has similarly increased by 109.80%, with the amount of honey exported rising from 28,378.42 metric tons in 2013 to 2014 to 59,536.74 metric tons in 2019 to 2020. India's beekeeping industry is growing every year. India has 28 states where beekeeping is practiced. As of 2019, the National Bee Board has registered 1,559,771 bee colonies, 9,580 individual beekeepers, 48 beekeeping and honey societies, 27 corporations, 40 firms and 3 self-help groups as participants in the apiary industry. The overall number of registered honeybee colonies reaching 16 lakhs on February 11, 2021. and the number of individual beekeepers, honey societies, corporations and companies registered with the NBB reached 10,000. According to the data from NBB, Uttar Pradesh, West Bengal, Punjab and Bihar are the top 4 states in India for honey production out of the 28 states that are participating in the industry. These 4 states produce more than half of the honey produced in the nation. The 3 other states of Rajasthan, Himachal Pradesh and Haryana also generate a sizable amount of honey. Approximately 25% of the nation's honey is produced in the southern states. There are 2 forms of honey, monofloral or unifloral, which is made primarily of nectar collected from a single species of plants, and multifloral or wildflower honey, which is made primarily of nectar collected from various flower varieties. The various types of honey that are produced in India include rapeseed, mustard honey, eucalyptus honey, lychee honey, sunflower honey, Karanj, Pongamia honey, multiflora Himalayan honey, acacia honey, wild flora honey. So, talking about the global status of apiculture. Without considering their contribution to plant pollination, the economics of honeybees can never be fully understood. An estimated 70% of the approximately 100 cultivated plant species, which provide 90% of the world's food, are pollinated by bees and other indigenous insects. The bees pollinate 80% of the natural plants and 84% of commercial crops of Europe. And in terms of money, this corresponds to 22,000 million euros annually. Their contribution to pollination for the rest of the world is estimated worth $265,000 million. The growing understanding of honey's health advantages has led to a daily increase in demand for honey and items derived from it. Since honey is currently utilized in many processed food products as a preservative and substitute for artificial sweeteners, the demand from the food processing sectors is driving the global apiculture market's rise. Throughout ancient times, honey has been used in many traditional medicinal systems, including the Ayurvedic, Chinese, Greek and Roman, Egyptian, Assyrian and Chinese. The global honey industries was predicted to be valued $9.21 billion in 2020, and between 2020 and 2028, it may grow at a compound annual growth rate of 4.3 to 8.2%. Asia, Europe and North and South America are the main honey producing regions. China is currently the leading honey supplier to Europe and North America for the last so many years. Europe and North America currently consume the most honey and its byproducts, but the Asia Pacific region is expected to increase at a rapid rate. Up till 2018, Asia Pacific held the top spot with a 42% market share, followed by Europe. With 230,000 tons produced, China was the world's top honey producer, followed by Europe in second place. With honey exports of $235.3 million in 2019, which accounts to 11.8% of all natural honey shipped, China led the world in honey exports, followed by other significant exporters, which include New Zealand with $228.8 million, which accounts to 11.5%, Argentina with $146.7 million, which accounts to 7.4%, Germany $131.5 million, which accounts to 6.6%, Ukraine with $113.3 million, which accounts to 5.7%, India $99.6 million, which accounts to 5%, Spain $92.1 million, which accounts to 4.6%, Hungary with $82.5 million, which accounts to 4.1%, Brazil with $67.9 million, which accounts to 3.7%, Belgium with $64.1 million, which accounts to 3.2%, Vietnam with $57.4 million, which accounts to 2.9%, Mexico with $55.7 million, which accounts to 2.8%, Romania $44.5 million, which accounts to 2.2%, Poland $43.2 million, which accounts to 2.2%, and Canada $41.3 million, which accounts to 2.1%. 75.5% of the global natural honey export market was shared by these 15 countries in 2019 by value. Talking about the apicultural products, the primary products from beekeeping, honey. The main and the most important product of beekeeping, measured both quantitatively and economically, is honey. In ancient times, it was also the first product that humans had ever used. The history of honeybees is closely linked to that of humankind, as evidenced by the fact that many cultures have used them as food sources and/or as symbols for religious, magical and medicinal practices, among other things. Honey is a naturally occurring sweetener that bees make from nectar, from flowers, live plant discharge or plant secretions that attract insects to the living parts of plants. The plant material is then collected, modified and combined with specific substances that the bees carry with them, stored and allowed to ripen and mature in the honeycomb. Many other species of honeybees besides Apis mellifera are well known for producing honey. Talking about the next product of beekeeping, beeswax. It is secreted by a pair of epidermal glands on the underside of the 4th and 7th abdominal segments in the bees that are between 14 and 18 days old, and it is utilized to make combs. This wax has to be purified by melting in water. One colony can yield about 300 grams of wax in a year. This is employed in the pharmaceutical and cosmetic industries, is readily produced and has a high demand worldwide. Apis dorsata is the primary beeswax producer in India. Compared to beeswax derived from Apis mellifera, which is more in demand for export, this is not as pure. Talking about propolis. A well-known honeybee product with a complicated chemical makeup is propolis. Typically, honeybees collect sticky balsamic material from flower buds, trees, shoots and other resinous plant exudates. Propolis is used by honeybees to cover their hive with enemy invaders, close cracks, sanitize queen bee seeds and shield it from germs. Propolis is used in the production of numerous goods that are sold all over the world, such as toothpaste, shampoos, antiseptics, chocolates, sweets and lotions. Talking about the next product, bee pollen. One of the most important byproducts of beekeeping is bee pollen, which is used all over the world as a natural source and health enhancer. One common claim is that bee pollen is the only perfect complete food. It is recommended that athletes should consume bee pollen, a miraculous meal. With the aid of unique hairs on their rear legs, bees gather nearly millions of pollen grains from each bloom and deposit them into pollen baskets. In order to make the collected pollen sticky enough to stick their legs during collecting, it is typically combined with nectar. Eventually, the bee colony yields these pellets of pollen, which are delicious. Royal jelly. The larvae of queen bees are fed with this, which is secreted by the bees from specific glands in their bodies. It is said to possess restorative and advantageous qualities, much like ginseng. This food is extremely concentrated and contains a variety of natural hormones. Exports are high in demand. Royal jelly is now primarily produced and exported from China. Nonetheless, only high-skilled beekeepers are able to extract royal jelly. Bee venom. There are several therapeutic applications for bee venom in homeopathy, allopathy and other natural medicine systems. This is an underutilized source of output from Indian bees. Talking about the National Beekeeping and Honey Mission. In order to bring about the sweet revolution, National Beekeeping and Honey Mission concentrated on the general growth and promotion of scientific beekeeping in the nation. National Bee Board is being used to implement National Beekeeping and Honey Mission. The Indian government has set aside Rs 500 crores for the National Beekeeping and Honey Mission for a period of 3 years, from 2020 to 2021 to 2022 to 2023. The Atmanirbhar Bharat program included the announcement of the mission. The promotion of the industry's overall growth in beekeeping is the primary goal of National Beekeeping and Honey Mission. Integrated beekeeping development centers, labs for testing honey, diagnosing bee diseases, custom hiring centers, apitherapy centers, bee breeders, etc. will all be formed under this mission. The 3 mini missions under this scheme are as follows. The goal of Mini Mission 1 is to raise public knowledge of scientific beekeeping. Mini Mission 2 focuses on managing beekeeping after harvesting and addresses the gathering, processing, storing, selling and value adding of goods from beehives. Mini Mission 3 focused on technical advancement and research in beekeeping industry. With the increasing population, India faces 2 enormous hurdles in the upcoming 10 years. Number 1, employing a huge number of youth, and number 2, feeding everyone with enough food that is nutrient rich. A minimum of 75 lakh bee colonies are required in India as per agricultural specialists in order to pollinate and boost the yield of 12 important crops that are self-sterile and require insect pollination. The beekeeping sector can contribute modestly to both of these initiatives. This